How we doing, everybody, and welcome into the midweek report from Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. I am here today. It is Tuesday night. Tuesday night, when you're listening to this on the podcast, it's going to be Wednesday, but I'm here. I got Aaron back with me today. Kyle was here Monday. We got through a lot, or Sunday. We got through a lot on Sunday there. I got Aaron back today. He's got his own way of thinking about everything, so I got to pick his brain a little bit today here on the show. Aaron, how we doing? Tuesday night, a great Tuesday.
Oh man, I don't know how much brain I have left at this point, but whatever I have left, I will gladly share with you. Good to be back. I'm trying to come on the show as much as humanly possible these days, and like we kind of talked about before, it's a great time of the year for sports, and we're really like, this is the meat and potatoes. I mean, with the baseball season, coming down to the wire, and now football obviously in full swing. It'll be fun. It'll be a fun show for sure. It's a good Tuesday.
It's a great Tuesday. It's always a great Tuesday, but we got to some people out there, not terrible news. To some other people, terrible news today over Twitter, wherever you're looking. It was actually Brett Favre did put it on Twitter. This was the post. So I wanted to read the post. So Brett Favre comes out. He says, first, I want to thank God for all he has done in my life. Next, I want to thank Congress for giving me the platform to discuss as much needed TANF reform. As you know, I was recently diagnosed with Parkinson's, which has been an ordeal. My wife, family, and friends have been supported, and I want to thank them for being there for me. To my fans and those wishing well, thank you for all the love. So he comes out, he says that. And the immediate response, I didn't even, I was scrolling through, I believe it was Facebook, and I saw the video pop up. And my immediate thought was, oh my, like, are you kidding? Like, this is the news I'm getting today. And in his Congress hearing, everything, like, it's just an odd time, but he was talking about concussions and everything like that. That got brought up in his opening statement I heard there. So that comes out. And then I'm scrolling through social media. And I shouldn't say that. I'm scrolling through the comments off of the post, off all the posts I'm seeing. And I tell you what, he has all these problems. Let's go with problems. We're going to call them problems, right? There's the fraud. There's the stealing money from all these people. I get that. Okay. Like, not good. Not good if it's the truth or whatever it is, whatever comes out of it. Okay. Brett Favre is an NFL Hall of Fame quarterback. Many people love him. If you don't love him, you don't love him. But he was just diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. And we're sitting here bashing this guy. And you deserve this. You should give that money back, blah, 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 blah. And that's all I'm reading all over the place on social media. And I mean, honestly, okay, I get it. When OJ had cancer, he died. OJ killed somebody, right? That's what everybody believes, right? If glove fits, that's what they say, right? But Brett Favre, you can believe what you want in the whole situation, but at the end of the day, that sucks. This sucks. Like, I don't want to see anybody, doesn't matter. I don't want to see anybody get such a disease like Parkinson's. And we have to be here talking about it right now. And then to see all the hate and the bashing and everything in between, not even prayers for you and your family, but you still suck. Like, that would have been okay. I could have got behind a comment like that. But all I'm seeing is, I see one where it's like, hope, prayers to your family and this and that and you, and, hopefully God's with you. And then the next comment's like, you should just go, burn down below. Right. And it's like, okay, this is right. I mean, Aaron, what was your initial response? You see this, you're scrolling through social media or whatever it was, you get an alert, right? I think ESPN reported it too. I think they came across as a notification on there. What was the immediate response when you saw Brett Favre has Parkinson's?
Yeah, I mean, I've been a Favre guy like forever. So honest to God, I haven't paid attention to the whole, like, him taking money or not taking, like, I don't have a stance on it because I didn't pay attention to it well enough. So I kind of just push that to the side, which maybe isn't right. Maybe I should do my due diligence on that. But at the end of the day, like, you kind of hit on it the right way is, I mean, even if like the difference between Brett Favre and OJ is even if he did do it, let's say he did it, that's a massive, massive difference as far as like just how severe each crime is. Like, yeah, if Favre did in fact take the money, that's a horrible thing, and you should be penalized for sure. But like people like when people were bashing OJ, I really didn't like like you said, for everybody that paid attention to that, you're pretty much at least 95% sure that he killed somebody. So you take a human life, I don't have any mercy for you. I don't care. I mean, unless whatever, I'm not gonna get into all that. But yeah, I mean, I saw it, and obviously, like just this, like not even so much disappointing, just like it's a little crushing for sure, just because. Like you said, you don't want to see anybody. I mean, I know Jim Kelly was battling cancer for a while. I think he actually got through that. So good on him. That's another, like, nobody really talks about Jim Kelly anymore. But another legend, Brett Favre. Like Brett Favre, I saw most of his career growing up, and I've gone back and watched like when he really got my respect when because him and his father, if you follow that whole thing, his dad wasn't the nicest man. Let's just put it that way. And then, his dad dies and he just goes out and lights it up. Like, I got to respect, like, that took just cojones, you know what I mean? That took some pure guts that night. So he gained my respect from that point forward. And he's just such a tough player. And I mean, it's unfortunate. I mean, I'm not trying to downplay it. At least it isn't like, oh my God, he has stage 4 cancer. But obviously, Parkinson's is no joke. And it's a shame. I mean, football was a lot. Not to say it's not violent now, but when he played, I mean, you could pretty much do just about anything to the quarterback and get away with it. So I shouldn't say I'm shocked that, maybe we'll start seeing other guys like, I mean, God only knows what will happen to Tua when or like, I know Troy Aikman had a boatload of concussions. I don't know what complications he has, but you got to think taking some of those hits, maybe it caused. I'm not a medical professional. It might not even have anything to do with it. But either way, obviously, you want to enjoy your retirement. And now it's. I mean, hopefully, it's not too severe. But we don't know. We just don't know how that's going to go.
And who was the one? Antonio Brown, when he got hit by Burfict over the middle, and you see what happened to Antonio Brown. Like, hearing him talk before that hit, hearing him talk in press conferences and everything like that, or even to reporters, like, he sounded like he was, all there, talking normal, everything was fine. And then you see the Antonio Brown at the end of his career, where it's taken my entire, like, I'm surprised he didn't take all of his clothes off at that point there and just running off the field, right? It was like just a flip the script kind of thing with him. And it was just odd. It was odd to see something like that. And you hit on it. And Tua, what do you do if you are Tua Tagovailoa right now? Because, I mean, how many more concussions can you actually have, before it gets to the point of, because he went to a specialist. They were trying to, show him different techniques how to fall. And now he has another concussion. I don't know what you do. I don't know if you're Tua, do you call it quits? It's going to be really tough, and I'm not asking for the guy to call it quits. No offense or buts. Like, I think he's got a talent. He's a boatload of talent for him. I actually really do enjoy watching Tua play the game of football, but there has to be a point where, just like, we saw Andrew Luck retire early. We saw Luke Kuechly retire early from the NFL. Both different situations, but all in the same. Injuries happen, and how many can you sustain throughout your life before it starts to affect your out of football life? And that's what I'm worried about with Tua right now, is that if he gets to that point, I don't know. What do you think? Tua right now, with the amount of, I lost count how many concussions he's actually had at this point, but what do you do right now if you're Tua? I guess if you were in his shoes, it's hard to put yourself in a guy's shoes like that. But if you're in his shoes, I mean, football's all you know, but at the end of the day, you got a whole life in front of you. Football is only for another 10 years for him or so. And maybe, right? And then maybe a couple more after that. But I can't even remember how old Tua is right now. But I know he's probably in his close to mid-20s. He's got to be around that range right now. So, what are you doing right now if you are Tua?
Yeah, like you said it so great there. It's you can't put yourself in his shoes, but from my perspective, or maybe yours, we kind of try to there. So, I mean, you got to consider, like, I've heard guys talk about one concussion is like you've already, like, the fallout from one concussion is significant. And then you get another one, like then you're more susceptible to get another one. And then it's a really like complicated, and I don't really think they know how it will truly affect. Like I don't think it's one of those one shoe fits all type of situations. Like maybe if Jordan Love had one concussion and Jalen Hurts had one concussion, maybe Jordan Love's in better shape at 55 than Jalen Hurts. Like maybe it's all depending on how violent. I mean, the concussions he suffered, like where he completely throws his hands up and they're all twisted up, like that to me that's got to be the worst type of concussion you can, at least from a visual standpoint. You're watching that and you're like, wow, it's like, is he like gonna walk? Like I thought that at first. I was like, is he like gonna be crippled type of, because like that's just not, that doesn't look right. I don't know, man. I mean, like you said, I get these guys devote their lives to football and things like that, but I still think, like, obviously somebody would let him coach somewhere. Somebody could, like, I doubt he wants to play like flag football. It's not the same. I get that. I'm not trying to give him a secondary, option in a way that would just not even be close to playing real football, whatever. But like you said, you got to consider your health at this point. I know from everything I read is he had 3 concussions. I truth be told, I think it's more than that. I think it's like 4 or 5, because they're saying he didn't have any last year and it was all 3 the year before that. I'm pretty sure I saw him in Buffalo. I don't know if this counts for one, but he was like stumbling. He couldn't even like walk. Like he suffered in my mind, maybe a concussion. And then, 2 plays later, he's walking back to the huddle and his feet, his legs are like jello. And I'm like, there's something there. That's not right. So I don't know. I think he probably should, for his own well-being. I mean, my thing is, like, could he come back in a couple years and play? Maybe that would be better. But like by then, you're out of the speed of the game, and stuff like that. So, I mean, head injuries are different than like you break your leg a couple times. Like head injury is about as bad as, I mean, if you can't use your brain, you're just not, you can't do anything. So I don't know. I'd really consider hanging it up. Unfortunately, it's just like, it's kind of bad. I mean, this last one, sure, people can say, oh, he shouldn't have dove like that. But when you're playing the game at that speed, I defend him. I might be the only one on social media that was like, hey, he was running for the first down. He's not thinking about, like, if you play the game scared, you're going to get injured. So I don't think he was even thinking, oh, I'm going to get a concussion if I do this or do that, whatever. He's just, oh, there's the sticks. I'm going to get to the sticks. So I don't want to see him hanging up, because I genuinely root for the guy myself too. Just because anybody that gets put through all that, like adversity, I root for adversity, and he's been through it. So it's, I'll give it to you, but I think he should. I wouldn't blame him if he didn't, but I mean, at some point you got to think, man, this is not good for me. And unfortunately, it's been some bad luck in there too, for sure. I think it's been some bad luck, but.
Yep. No, it is definitely a hot topic. It is definitely a hot topic with a lot of players out there when things like this happen over the years. What should they do? And, well, we can only go off what the player thinks is best, what his family thinks is best. So we'll see what Tua does here. I believe he's got, 3 weeks left on the IR. I believe he's got like three weeks left on the IR. So we'll see. We'll see what comes out of it with Tua. We are all waiting the answer. That is for darn sure right now, because when he's out there, the Dolphins are a different team. When he's out there, I mean, football is a different thing, because it's great to watch Tua and that Dolphins offense get at it. So other NFL news, just wanted to talk about a little bit. Christian McCaffrey is going over to Germany, I heard. He's going across the pond to get a second opinion on his leg. Or was it a leg injury that he had? I believe it was a leg injury that he had there. That's interesting. That's interesting that he's going all the way. Maybe they got they must have a specialized doctor over there or something that is going to give him this opinion and maybe get him back on the field. So it seems like the 49ers are going to be without Christian McCaffrey for a while. That's not so good. But the Packers, on the flip side of that, Jay Love was out there warming up versus the Titans. Everybody was kind of curious. They're like, is he going to play today? He's out there in warm-ups. He's taking snaps. They're all watching this really close. Doesn't play in the game against the Titans. Malik Willis plays, does fantastic. We talked about that there on the weekend recap show there. But so Malik Willis does well. Now Jordan Love, we're expecting another full week of practice, most likely out of Jordan Love here, full pads as he was last week. If Jordan Love, we'll flip this both ways. If Jordan Love is or is not 100% ready to go. So let's just say if he's 100%, we're playing the guy. There's no doubt in our mind. Let's just go with that right away. If he's 100%, if the medical staff says Jordan Love is 100%, he can do this, he can do that, he can take a hit, he's fine. Okay, Jordan Love's playing, right? That's pretty much cut and dry. I mean, we're not going to sit Jordan Love for another week just because Malik Willis is playing well. If Jordan Love is, let's just say, we're going percentage-wise, 85%, are you bringing Jordan Love back against the Vikings? Or are you saying, okay, we've made it this far with Willis. Let's get Jordan Love to 100%. We'll have him back the week after, but let's get him healthy first. Let's start Willis against the Vikings. Let's see how we do. How are you playing that? If Jordan Love's 85%, I've seen a lot of Packer fans saying that if he thinks he can go, let him go. I don't think it's if he thinks he can go, because I think Jordan Love thought he could go immediately when he was on the plane ride back from Brazil. I think he was ready to rock and roll. So how do you feel, Aaron? If you are the Packers right now, are you throwing Jordan Love out there if he's only 85% or less? You know, you don't want to get too far less, but if he's 85 or less, are you even thinking about playing Jordan Love? Or are you saying to yourself, okay, we're 2-1 right now. We've won 2 games with Malik Willis. Our defense is playing well. Maybe we can survive one more week and get him healthy.
Yeah, I would not play him personally. I mean, if this was like a game where you're talking like, week 14, week 15, and there's like, you're right in the race, let's just say, because, you bring up the Vikings, that's who they're playing. Like, Vikings are they're 3-0 now. Like, that's probably the closest, Detroit, all the teams are in the mix for that NFC North. Like, yeah, sure, I'd play them then at 80, 85%, whatever it might be. But not right now. I mean, it's week 3. A lot can happen. I mean, I don't want it to. I'm not saying I root against. We kind of touched on this before we went on, but like, let's say Sam Darnold inevitably. I shouldn't say that. Let's just say Sam Darnold explodes in like week 12, and he just starts throwing like he starts seeing ghosts like back in the Jets days, and he's throwing pick six after pick six. Like, the Packers might, be in a great position then. Like, I don't expect the Vikings to. Regardless of like what team it is, I just think your quarterback is. I mean, that's who's making the most money. That's who's. That's your like diamond jewel right there. That there's no more valuable position than quarterback, especially in the NFL. I mean, you can make the argument in college, or different guys pop out and things like that. But the NFL literally, like, the quarterback of every team. Like, you might not know the running back on every team, the quarterback. So Jordan Love being ascending into the guy that the Packers want him to be, that's all the hope and all the marbles are on Jordan Love there. I would not. At 85%, I would not play him. Let him get one more week. Even God forbid the Packers lose that. Like, you want Jordan Love healthy. You don't want him to reactivate. Like, you want to put him in a position where reactivating is not it's a very low chance. At 85%, I mean, you don't know. He goes out there and moves his leg around a little, and it doesn't feel right. And then then the coaching staff's going to be like, well, you probably shouldn't play. Like, you saw Mahomes do that. You shouldn't play. And then he flips out and he's like, I'm going back in. Well, there's risk involved there. Like, if he's not completely right, I would not play him. And it's the same position. Like, if Jalen Hurts was in this position, I'd just say, okay, you got to play Kenny Pickett. We might not win, but you want to have him for the long stretch. This is like a long-term play. Keep Jordan Love on the sideline if he's 85%. Now, even if he was 95%, I still, maybe, but I'd still have my reservations. I mean, you've won 2 games with Malik Willis. Just ride not saying Jordan Love isn't better, but like, ride the hot hand for now, just because it's not like he's going out there and stinking up the joint. Just let him get Jordan Love 100% and then insert him back in there.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I am not messing around with it. If it's 85, the Packers are an organization where they don't rush injuries. They let you come back at your own pace till the medical staff says you're ready to go. We're not bringing you back in. So if the Packers don't feel it, I'm okay with either decision that they roll with there. Would it be nice to have Jordan Love back? 100%. I would love to have. I mean, this is the guy we just paid a boatload of money, or gave a big contract to, at least, to lead this Packers team down the stretch. I want him to get as many reps as he possibly can, because at the end of the day, I know there's some Packer fans out there who are saying, or even opposing fans who are saying, oh, Malik Willis is just as good as what Jordan Love is in this offense. So when this is going to be a competition when he comes back, it's not a competition. There is no competition right now. I hate to break that news to any Malik Willis fans out there or anything. There's no competition right now in Green Bay. When Jordan Love is ready to rock, it's Jordan Love's, it's his game. Like, this is his team when he is ready to go. This is just Malik Willis doing great things in the interim right now. So just wanted to get that out of the way there. But I agree 100%. You don't rush this. If Jordan Love does not feel 100%, I don't know if you can ask him, because he's going to tell you he feels 100%. So I think you just got to play the eye test with him. I mean, make him do some things in practice that are out of the normal, and make him make some cuts that he's got to really push off that leg, see what it looks like. If he's ready to go, put him in there. I would love to have him get back against this Vikings team, because I love how you threw the Sam Darnold slander in there halfway through. He's seeing ghosts out there. I love that. I love that. Just started out there. But, I mean, this Vikings team right now, they're not playing bad. Okay, they're not playing bad. That's Sam Darnold is doing things that Sam Darnold, I mean, what they expected out of him when he first came into the league. They were like, this is what he was going to do. Maybe it's you always talk about guys with a change of scenery. Is this the change of scenery? The coaching staff with Brian Flores, is this the coaching staff that is going to take him over the top? I don't know, right? I mean, you're telling me week 12 he's going to blow up. You keep telling me that he's going to blow up at some point there. I can't wait, right? I can't wait for him to blow up. I also don't hate the guy. I have no hatred or anything towards Sam Darnold. So seeing him doing well isn't really affecting me that bad, right? I mean, I hope that he does well. I just hope that the Packers beat him while he's doing well. That's okay with me. I mean, if they get 3 picks again in that game, McKinney gets another interception in 4 straight games, that'd be ridiculous, right? But right now, he's throwing for 657 yards on the season, 8 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Hasn't looked bad. He's got playmakers all around him, so that definitely helps. Plus, they're talking Jordan Addison might come back this week for him, which doesn't bode well for me, because I don't want to see Jordan Addison back out there. I want as less amount of weapons as he can possibly work with when the Packers see him first time around. But at the same time, I'm like, hey, if I'm going to see how good my defense is, I want all the weapons out there on the field. I wish TJ Hockenson was back. Let's just get them all out there. Let's just get them all out there. But this is definitely a solid team right now in the Vikings. Looking at some of their stats on this season, I was just pulling them up there. Right now, they're sitting about middle of the pack there in total yards, 329. Baltimore's up top with 430 right now. Passing yards on the season so far per game, they are sitting at about same spot. I'm not doing all the counting there, but they're about middle of the pack right now, 204 a game right now. Rushing yards a game right now, Packers up top there with 204. They are just running the crap out of the ball. And then the Vikings at 125 right now. And points per game, the Vikings are third. 28 points per game right now. Not bad. I mean, they're scoring. That's what you wanted to see out of this offense, especially an offense led by Sam Darnold. Not something that Vikings fans, I didn't have it on my bingo card. I can tell you that much. I didn't have it on my bingo card for Sam Darnold to start the season on a burner. Looking at the defense right now, they're averaging giving up about 310 yards per game. A lot of that, it looks like, is happening in the pass game. They've given up 239 yards through the air per game on the season so far. Rush defense, 71. So you're looking at the Packers coming into this game with we're running the ball right now. That's what we do. 204 yards per game. We're trying to run it down their throat. And the Vikings coming in, giving up 71 yards per game on the season right now. I don't know. Aaron, I asked this question to Kyle the other day there on the show. I want to ask it to you. What do you think about this Vikings team? Are they for real? Like, is this team for real? Can they sustain this? Is this maybe a little bit more than, I don't think Vikings fans, I mean, yeah, the probably diehards expected this, but the outside ones probably didn't. But I don't think any analysts had this one on their bingo card either. The Vikings starting out this well, especially with question marks at quarterback. McCarthy goes down with injury. You don't even know what's happening. But do you think the Vikings can sustain this success? Or do you think there's I don't think they're terrible, right? I don't think they're just going to completely fall off a cliff. I think they're going to be a competitive football team all season long. But do you think right now that this success that they're having early on, the great defense that they're having, the offense is flowing, do you think that's sustainable? Or do you think there's like a happy medium in there where we're going to see the Vikings drop back to at some point here?
I think they will eventually come back down to earth. I mean, I'm a big Brian Flores fan. I have been, back in his days in Miami. I think he helped to turn Pittsburgh's defense back into what they are now, honestly. I know obviously he's not there anymore, but him coming over to Minnesota, because in my opinion, like, watching the Vikings from a very, very far, I mean, I pay attention here and there to them, but like their defense has been pretty horrid the last couple of years, honestly. Like Kirk Cousins was putting up a ton of points, and then their defense was giving up a ton of points. So their defense, I don't know, pretty much I don't know a lot of their guys on their defense. I will say that. But, I mean, they've played well. I will give them their flowers where they deserve them. I mean, they beat a Texans team, which everybody expects to be good again. And then they thank goodness, they beat the 49ers. Anybody that beats 49ers, I'm a fan of. At least that week. So, I mean, they took care of them. So, outside of the Giants, I mean, that's two really, really good teams. But I've been telling you, I just, until Sam Darnold proves it to me, like he's just, he didn't pan out with the Jets. I kind of give him a mulligan for that. He goes to Carolina. I mean, you say what you want about the franchise and whatnot, but he didn't play good there. Obviously he's a backup in San Fran. He wasn't going to see the field. So, I mean, this is his golden opportunity, but we've seen guys like, remember when Josh Dobbs was on fire? Everybody's, oh, look at Josh Dobbs. Now look at Josh. You know what I mean? There's been, I remember back in the day, especially where I live, a lot of people, there's a good amount of Reds. I mean, at the time it was the Redskins, so I'll say Redskins, I guess, but they, Jason Campbell days. Oh, this is, look at Jason Campbell, and then he's a flash in the pan. Like he's, Sam Darnold's got to do this all year long. I think they come back down to earth. I mean, I'm looking at their schedule. This Packers game, I would say maybe they have a slight edge just because Malik Willis is, not to take anything away from Malik Willis, but like, Darnold has more game experience than Malik Willis, but it's also in Lambeau, and division games are division games. So, I mean, you can really slice that game. You can pick that game however you want, but then like Sam Darnold going against the Jets, we'll see. I mean, the Jets defense has played really good so far. Then he goes against the Lions. The Lions are a tough team. Some of those games though are definitely favor the Vikings down this. Like the Rams are, after losing all the receivers they have, that's a favorable game. The Colts, that's like a coin flip. The Jags are 0-3, so they go to the Jags then. And then the Titans aren't very good, at least it looks like so far. So I expect them to come down to earth. I still think, like you said, I think you hit on it perfect. They're going to be a competitive team. I mean, he's got weapons. It seems like he has a decent offensive line for the first time in his career, so I'll give him that. But yeah, I just, by week 10, 11, 12, 13, I expect Sam Darnold to be, maybe in the middle of the pack as far as like how he's playing right there. His stats might look a lot better than like, because he did good for 6 or 7 weeks, but like week 10, 11, 12, then you start seeing 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, 1 touchdown, 3 picks. Like I got to see him do it all year long. Like I'm not, like you said, I'm not rooting against him either. I don't have that like confidence that he can put this together for an entire season, even with a good offense. Like they have, you talk about Aaron Jones coming over from the Packers, like they have guys there. It's just as a quarterback, like eventually I just don't know if he can do it the entire season.
That's the guy that makes me nervous is Aaron Jones. I don't want to see Aaron Jones. I just know Aaron Jones is going to be running like a different kind of animal just because he's ticked off at the Packers. I just know it. It's going to be one of those days for Aaron Jones, and it's going to be all about the Packers defense. Can you stop the run? They've done it. I mean, Saquon had a couple of big ones, right, against them in Brazil. You can blame it on field conditions. You can blame it on whatever you want. He had some big gains against this Packers defensive front. And, I mean, Quay Walker's struggling in that game. Colts, they got a little bit better there, but Jonathan Taylor had his key runs there in that one. But this Packers team, 105 yards per game on the ground they're giving up, not terrible. Not terrible so far. So this is a pretty solid run defense for Green Bay that they're going to stack up with Aaron Jones here, and we're going to see what they can do, right? I mean, you have your defensive front just went up against a lackluster front there for the Titans and just completely obliterated them. And now you're going to have this is a decent offensive line that the Minnesota Vikings are rolling out there, plus a good run defense. This is going to be I think this is going to be a good game. I think this could be one of the I haven't even checked the schedule, but I'm going to tell you right now, this game right here could be one of the better ones of the weekend. I really do think it could be. I think it could be one of the better games just because if Sam Darnold plays in this game like he has been and the Packers get Jordan Love back and he doesn't, my worry would be he comes back rusty. He comes back a little bit rusty. That would be my worry. But if he comes back guns a-blazing and this offense is flowing, this could be a explosive, who the heck messes up first kind of game here in Lambeau, and I can't wait for it. That should be a good one there. So let's skip out of the Packers. I had a question for you. Jalen Carter, he was in the news after that Saints game. He's on the sideline, and I'm okay with jaw jacking. I love jaw jacking. I love when a guy can get underneath of another guy's skin and everything like that. But I think Jalen Carter might have crossed a little bit of a line. I think there was a line that was drawn because Sirianni was over there. He had assistant coaches trying to tell him to shut up. He's yelling up into the crowd. He's yelling out at Honey Badger out there, Tyrann Mathieu. He's yelling at him. I mean, what do you think of that? Because Jalen Carter has been known to be kind of irresponsible, hothead, a little bit all over the place, uncontrollable at times. We know about what happened at Georgia. We don't want to get into that too much here, but what do you think about that situation? Sirianni having to calm him down, and does that – it shouldn't worry you. I don't think it worries you by any means, but also at the same time, it's like, does it worry you about how he goes about things, how he goes about as a professional at the end of the day? Because you can jaw jack, but – what I saw didn't really seem like jaw jacking. It almost seemed, you don't want to say taunting. Like, I don't think it was taunt, but almost taunt. Like he's jaw jacking on the sideline, and it didn't seem like he was getting anywhere. So what do you think about that, Aaron? What did you think about that Jalen Carter situation?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm glad you did bring it up. I follow the team like pretty close. I mean, I'll say that. So like the week prior, the Atlanta game, I don't know if you – early in the game there, they were talking about how, well, I don't even know if it came out then. Maybe it was on a freaking post-game show or something like that. But they talked about, I mean, Jalen Carter missed like the first 2 drives because he was late to team meetings. That concerns me more, to be honest with you, because his whole, like, yes, there was the obvious, that incident with, him racing and things like that. And somebody actually died, obviously, because of that. That when the Eagles drafted him, I was a little bit, I wouldn't even say a little bit. I was disappointed because I guess some fans out there would be like, as long as he plays football good, who cares? Like, that's not a good look, in my opinion. Like, that is irresponsible to the max. I'm surprised, I'm glad it doesn't happen more, but like these college kids with the money they have, I'm surprised it's not happening more. I mean, you're talking about kids getting Corvettes and Mustangs, whatever. And just driving like maniacs, and like I'm like they're kids, really, they're kids. So I'm not giving them any pass. I'm just saying I'm surprised that type of stuff doesn't just go rampant across the college landscape at the very least, even into the pros and stuff. But I mean that Saints game, and keeping my bias aside, I mean I don't like the Saints. I never liked the Saints. Never will like the Saints. When they tried to kill Brett Favre, now bringing that full circle, that was like one of the straws for me that broke the camel's back for the Saints. Like, I just don't like that team. They own the Eagles, so that is some bias there. They always beat us. So, but I mean, if you watch that game on Sunday, I mean, Devontae Smith getting held by 2 guys, tackled to the ground. Bang! Here comes a defensive lineman, helmet to helmet, knocks him out. Colt, like he had no he didn't even know where he was. Probably like the look on his face, he was just dumbfounded. So concussion there. Then later in that fourth quarter, I mean, one of their they do a run play to Kamara, and one of their O linemen, I mean, he shoves Darius Slay damn near into the bleachers. Like he's well out of bounds, and he's like shoving. He's physically trying to like deck this guy. And Darius Slay is not a big guy. He's a corner. It's not like he's blocking. Jalen Carter, like Jalen Carter's defensive lineman there. So I mean, I think Jalen Carter definitely has to keep it in check. You can't be doing this stuff every week. I didn't have a huge problem with it just because I was done with the Saints at that point too. I was just like, dude, you guys are always like I've seen them be poor sports so many times that I was like, you know what? If he's gonna do it, I'm glad it's the Saints or the 49ers. That's another team that I think they kind of play a certain type of way, especially when they're losing. They play a certain type of way, and I'm not a fan of it. So. I'm an Eagles fan, so I bias, but I like I said, if it happens again this year, in let's say they're playing the Titans or something, and the Titans are 4 games under 500, I'll be like, okay, man, you gotta relax. Now, if they're playing the 49ers in the playoffs and something like this happens, I don't have a huge problem with it. I don't love it either. I like to play the game, just play the game the right way, go out there and execute and let your play do the talking. That's like the ultimate way to stick it to somebody, in my opinion, but easier said than done. These guys are, testosterone filled, just monsters on the defensive line. So I'll give him a pass, but this whole notion that like he's being late to practice and stuff, that's concerning. That's more concerning. If he starts becoming like a problem, I mean, this is only his second year. So like jury's still out. He might become an issue. I mean, I'm not ruling it out. It's probably 50-50 really. It's not, like I'm like, oh, this guy's innocent. Like it's your second year. You kind of fell apart down the stretch last year. He didn't do much in the last like 6-7 games. So it's not like this guy's already a Pro Bowler or whatever. Like you got to prove it. You got to show up to work, and like you're making a ton of money. You're a first round draft pick. So if he does this on the field here and there, I'm okay with it. But if he's turning into like a team cancer type deal, that will definitely bother me, and I hope they ship him out before it turns into like a TO situation. Like we've already been through that. So
yeah, no, from everything you said, the only thing I think is he's a little bit careless right now. It's more of undisciplined, right? He's a young guy yet, undisciplined. He's got to get the right guys in his corner. That's the big thing. The Eagles, whoever, I mean, it doesn't help Fletcher Cox is gone now, because that would be a guy where you say, hey, you keep this guy in check. Like he's here on time. That's your job, because Fletcher Cox he'd keep him in check there. But you have to find that guy, right? That leader on your team. We talk about it. I talk about with the Brewers all the time, and Jackson Chourio. I mean, Willie Adames and William Contreras just taking him under their wing, and when he was struggling at the plate, just helping him and, getting him. And Jackson Chourio is a different situation. It's baseball, not football. It's a whole different thing. But it's one of those things where you got to find the guys in the locker room that can help take care of those guys. So that's a big thing that I take away from that is, I'm okay with the taunt. Like if you want to get, chirp a little bit, I'm all good. I'm all good with chirping. I'm all good with that. I just think it reaches a point. It reaches a point when your head coach has to get in your face and tell you, when you're yelling at the fans and everything like that, like there's a point, a line that's crossed that you just got to say, okay, enough's enough. I got to be quiet now. And I think he got to that point. Now, I think he's a fine player. I think he can figure it out down the stretch. That's what we can all hope for. Because as much as I don't care what happens with the Eagles, I shouldn't say that. I care, but I don't care, right? I'm a Packer fan, so it's like whatever happens in Philly happens in Philly, right? But I still don't want to see a player with his kind of caliber get his career ended because he just can't show up to practice on time or this or that, And the Devontae Smith situation, I agree. Watching the hit, it was different. That's what I worried about with him coming into the league. I really did. I was like, this is a littler bodied guy. And if he gets something over the middle and he meets the linebackers Pete's sake, he meets a defensive lineman who weighs 200 pounds more than him. Like that was my worry with him. Same with guys like Xavier Worthy there with the Chiefs. It's just a smaller bodied guy going into those big bodies. It's like, this might not end well for him. So, thank goodness Devontae Smith is okay and everything's good on his end. Not much, injury-wise, I guess. came out of that situation, and he's going to be okay. That's the big thing that we take away from that, is that he was all good end of the day, and Eagles got the win, right? So you're happy at the end of the day there. It was, I turned that on in the fourth quarter, and they're like, and I can't remember who was announcing that game, and they're like, oh, it's really picked up here in the fourth quarter. I'm like, it's 12-7 or something like that. I'm like, when did it pick up? I'm like, did all this scoring happen in the fourth? Like, I don't know what's going on here. So, I mean, yeah, it was a dangerous hit, but like I said, thank goodness he's okay. Everybody can move on from that situation, and all's good on that end there. So we see the Badgers. They're heading out west right now. They're going to be taking on USC this weekend. I'm watching Big Ten in 60 minutes. Right now, that's crazy. I've only watched it a couple times, but I'm already in the fourth quarter right now. It's like the first quarter happened when we started this show here, and now it's the fourth quarter already. It baffles me sometimes watching this thing. But this USC team coming in, did you get a chance to watch USC Michigan? I know you're not a big Michigan fan. You were probably rooting for USC out there, but did you get a chance to watch that game a little bit?
I kept, like, during the Penn State game, I was like kind of in and out on Google trying to get the highlights for Michigan and USC, and like that game got crazy in the second half. But I actually was rooting for Michigan because now it gives USC the loss. You know what I mean? So like it was like, as much as I cannot stand, I really can't stand Michigan at all. That's up there with the Ohio States of the world for me. But they, I mean, it was a crazy game. I mean, I'm kind of surprised. I mean, Michigan, like their defense, like you kind of brought it up last week, their defense is just it's next level, So I mean, I can't give a lot of coverage on the game just because I'm really, it's getting a little cloudy. But I was paying attention just to see, obviously what was going to happen there.
Yeah, the big thing that I wanted to get into was USC was, like you said, introduced to a Big Ten style football, right? That's what Kyle and I kept hammering it down on Sunday there. We were talking about it. Big Ten football, run the ball, everything like that. And Badgers heading out west now. That's going to be something that I'm looking for in this Wisconsin team, because you're coming into this. The pass game really hasn't been your thing this year. You're more run heavy, as it seems right now. Wisconsin's got to be able to run the football against USC. That's what Michigan, they paved the way, right? Michigan did not play a good game. I mean, they had 9 total yards. I'm looking at the stat right now. 9 total yards in the second half against this USC team. That tells you where they were at in the second half against USC. They did their damage on the big plays, the big run plays, hammering it down, finding holes. The offensive line was putting it together, and the defense was just like you said. I mean, they're next level. They got multiple different. They have pieces on there. I guarantee you, there's probably 5 guys in that defense who are going to be in the NFL. I mean, there are 5 guys on that defense, and 2 of them line up in the center there at the defensive line. So that is a very good Michigan defense. The Badgers, it's almost like the script was written, right? They see, it's not going to be easy, right? It's definitely not going to be easy, but the script is written. You got to put pressure on Mason Miller there. You got to be able to slow down the explosive plays. Don't let USC beat you over the top like Alabama did. I mean, the explosive plays against Alabama is what killed Wisconsin. I know they would have just grinded it out all day long and just beat you, but it wouldn't have looked as bad, right? The big plays, the big hitters against Wisconsin were the backbreakers, right? You'd finally get off the field or whatever it was. You'd finally get to 3rd and long, and then boom, 60 yards. And it's like, okay, like this is what's killing us. That's what USC is going to try to do to you. They're going to try to do that same thing. They got the athleticism out at the wide receiver. They're going to try to beat you over the top as much as they possibly can and beat you with their playmakers. They got to find a way to slow that down there. And on the offensive side, they got to find a way to run the football. Wisconsin has got to find a way to play old Wisconsin, run the ball, bury it down their throats. Let's play time of possession game here. I don't care if that game ends and it's like 8-3. Like, I don't care. If it ends 7-3, I don't care. If Wisconsin comes out with a 7-3 win, I'm good. I'm moving on. Like, I will watch that boring football, right? But I don't think it's going to end up like that. I mean, Aaron, knowing what you do about USC, the little bit that we know so far, this is a team where the offense, I mean, I'm not going on. A lot of people came out of this game looking at Mason Miller. They're like, this guy is just complete hot garbage. Like, he's not bad. Like, or Miller Moss. Sorry, Miller Moss. I keep getting my name mixed up there. Miller Moss there for USC. A lot of people came out of that game thinking, this guy isn't as good as advertised, blah, blah. I came out of that game thinking this is still a good quarterback. Michigan's just got a heck of a defense. So when you think USC right now, you think the Badgers. Is there a way? Is there a way for Wisconsin to play? Right now, they're coming into this one. They're 2-score underdogs. Like, nobody is giving them a shot in this game heading out to USC. USC coming off a loss. Badgers coming off a bye week. They have Braden Locke in there at quarterback. How does he come into this one? So, do you give Wisconsin much of a shot against USC heading into this one?
I wish I could. I kind of do wish I could. I'd rather see Wisconsin win this game. Obviously, like, big upset. It drops USC to 2 losses. It not eerily reminds me of Alabama. Like, I thought Alabama would kind of do anything they absolutely wanted to. I don't think. I mean, you can make an argument, with USC's offense, like it can do the same thing. If Wisconsin's defense was playing up to the level of Michigan, sure, I would give them a very good chance. I haven't seen that. And really, like, when Alabama wanted to run the ball on Wisconsin, they ran the ball too. So it's unfortunate. I mean, obviously, if Wisconsin had like a high-powered offense, I'd be like, okay, keep up with them. Because, like, if I don't trust the defense, and then I don't trust, like, there's just nothing I can point to here. I mean, I would love them to make this a game. That would be like my goal as far as, just from a viewer standpoint, at least make it competitive. It's going to be tough. I mean, I fear Penn State going out to USC here in a couple of weeks. I'm very, very afraid of that. And now that they have a loss, that's almost worse for everybody else because they're not trying to drop 2. That's like the biggest thing now. To say like Miller Moss is garbage or whatever, like, Michigan might have the best defense in the country. So to, like, Miller Moss, a young kid, like, you can't, I mean, he only threw 1 pick at the end of the day, and he still went for over 300 yards. I mean, you look at the other side of the field. I mean, Alex Orji for Michigan, 7 for 12. I mean, 7 for 12 for 32 yards, and they win the game, but they can run the ball. Like you pointed to, Wisconsin's going to have to run the ball at the clip that Michigan can. And my theory with USC is they're going to load the box and make the quarterback beat them. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to, in my opinion, that's a smart way to play this. Cause your backup there, his name escapes me, for Wisconsin.
Braden Locke.
Yeah. Braden Locke. Like, we didn't see a lot, in the Alabama game that points to confident, like, just keeping it as real as I can here. So if I'm USC, I'm like, all right, have him beat us. Like, we're going to stop the run. We're going to force you to pass and see what you can do. And then that's where I think Wisconsin gets in a world of trouble, unfortunately. Hopefully, like I said, they can make it a game. If they can somehow run the ball, sure. I mean, it's any given Saturday at that point. It's just, that's where I'm like, I think USC is going to, because USC's defense really did play good. This is like maybe their worst performance, I think, against Michigan, excuse me. So I just don't know. It's asking a lot. It's asking a lot for where Wisconsin's offense and kind of their defense against Alabama kind of concerns me. I know it's Alabama, but they kind of did what they wanted all day long, unfortunately. But
yeah. No, I see it. I do. It's going to be a really tough game for Wisconsin. Like you said, the big thing, backup quarterback Braden Locke, getting some confidence, right? He's had 2 weeks now. He's had, since Alabama, he got in there basically start of the game. It was 1 drive, right? And not even a drive. He got in there on the first drive for Wisconsin and then saw that action. Now he's got a couple weeks here of practice time with the ones, getting more reps. It's the hope that Phil Longo, Luke Fickell, they found ways to instill confidence in this guy rolling forward here. So one last thing, got my dog running around back there with the toy. He's getting all kinds of excited. One last thing before we wrap up here. Aaron, this is going to hit hard for you. This is going to hit hard for you here. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs right now. They got some controversy going on around the Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And I'm seeing it. I was just scrolling through Twitter, and it's about the hottest topic you could think about right now. They won a game off of a pass interference call, essentially, against the Bengals. And then they won a game that wasn't called a pass interference against the Falcons. Now, I'm not saying the NFL is rigged. I'm not going to go as far to say that it's rigged and we're determining outcomes and everything like that. But how do you look at that play against the Falcons there in the end zone, and that's not pass interference? Like, that is, I don't know. I would have to look up the definition word for word, and maybe it's like put me a picture. Like, if they sketch me out a picture. But if they sketch me a picture, I think I would see that same picture of Kyle Pitts. I believe it was Kyle Pitts, right, going up there in the end zone. Yeah, I believe that would be the picture they would sketch me. They'd be like, this is pass interference. And I'd be like, oh, it wasn't called. So I don't want to say it's rigged. I don't want to go that far, because if the NFL is rigged and we're determining outcomes before they even happen, the NFL becomes boring to me and I don't want to watch it anymore. So I can't go as far to say that right now. But we're seeing this all happen right now. There has got to be something that changes right now, because it seems like referees, the NFL, they're all for the Kansas City Chiefs winning football games and finding ways to make sure they win those football games. Yes, you could say that the referee, they're going to miss calls. It happens, right? That's what they say. They miss calls. That was in the end zone to end the game. You can't miss a call like that. So what do you think? What do you think about that whole situation right now with the Chiefs? Because they got 2 wins right now circled with controversy.
I mean, we can say it's maybe rigged is taking it to like an extreme, but favoritism, like can we say the refs favor? Like, you can't. It's pretty hard to argue against that. I mean, you pull up the stats. The Chiefs have never been called for holding in a Super Bowl. I mean, come on now. That's just, it's a little bit too obvious. I'm not going to say every single game it is determined by the refs or Vegas or whatever, but certain calls I can pretty much at least make a conclusion that, more likely than not, there's something going, there's just too much going on there. So, I mean, yeah, it's unfortunate. If I was a Falcons fan, especially because that's more recent memory, I'd be livid. I remember when Bradbury got called for the hold in the Super Bowl. The Eagles did so much to lose that game that I mean, that didn't make me as mad as some other things, but that really was, I mean, yeah, he owned up to it. Oh, I held him. I mean, that if that is passing, or, if that's defensive holding, but that's not pass interference, we're on 2 different spectrums then. Because, I mean, he grabbed his shirt for a half a second, and then boom, he was behind him anyway. So, it's unfortunate. I mean, I don't know if it stops. I hope it does stop, but I don't probably think it will. And it's a shame. Imagine the Packers going up against the Chiefs. I mean, let's just say it's a regular season game, but still it's a meaningful game, Packers are 1 game behind the division or something like that, and that's how the game ends. You got it. That's not right. That's not the right way to go about things. So I hope they clean it up. I don't know. To say the refs favor them, I think is completely fair.
It's a bad look. It is a bad look on the NFL. That is for darn sure. It is a bad look right now. And hopefully, I mean, from what I've seen, hopefully they can get that figured out and buttoned up. And we, like you said, favoritism, whatever it is, we cut that crap out of the league right now, because it's getting ugly. Fans are getting upset, except for Chief fans. They're like, oh, yeah, we're good. We're good right now. We're 3-0, right? But, I mean, it affects teams. The Bengals, they should have a win, right? If that doesn't get called, then there's a win for the Bengals. The Falcons have another win. They're coming off a big win against the Chiefs. So there's lots of, possibly could have been a win there for the Falcons. But lots of big calls that are being missed right now or being made, and not vice versa. So we'll see how that all shakes out there. That's about all we got for the day here, though. Aaron, let people know where to find you out there.
Yeah, as always, appreciate you letting me come on, and I'm learning more and more about Wisconsin sports every day. But yeah, I'm on Twitter at Brutally Honest, no T on the end of that, and then on Spotify, Apple Podcasts at Brutally Honest Sports, TikTok at Brutally Honest Sports. So yeah, any of those platforms, if you find me, I'll take you, have you go to Trajan's page too. If somebody finds just me, and I'll share the wealth, as they say on the interwebs there.
Awesome. We're always happy to have you on the show. It's always good conversation, always learn something. That's what we got to do. We always got to learn something here on the show. So like you guys know, Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trades. Find it across all podcast platforms out there. You can find it on TikTok, everything like that, TikTok, YouTube, everything in between, wherever you find it, Facebook, wherever you have it there. But, I mean, that's about all we got for today. Aaron, hopefully we'll be back on Friday when we do our preview for the weekend. But with that, this has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trades. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. We'll catch you guys back here on Friday. But until then, deuces.